Hello, and welcome to this Conversations in Careers interview. I'm delighted to be joined today by Georgia Rundle, who is a trainee patent attorney at Marks and Clerk in Cambridge. So our Conversations in Careers series forms part of our on-demand content at our Building Life Science Adventures Careers Conference, and it's a really good opportunity for us to demonstrate the breadth of opportunities within life sciences and promote all sorts of different exciting opportunities for career progression. So I'm really looking forward to learning a bit more about Georgia's career today. So I'm going to hand you over to Georgia. And Georgia, if you could just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you currently do and how you got there.
Great, thanks, Jasmine. Thanks so much for having me. So my name's Georgia Rundle. I am a trainee patent attorney at Marks and Clerk, as Jasmine said. I'm based in their Cambridge office. I moved here in October of last year, over from Cardiff. So still pretty new to the city, but that's where I am right now.
Amazing, wonderful. And what was that kind of move like? So you decided to move all the way over to Cambridge. Was that quite a big decision?
So I studied in Durham University and then went home to Cardiff. So moving around the country isn't, it sort of wasn't my first rodeo, to say. But yeah, moving across to Cambridge was a relatively big move. Obviously, it was the first time I had moved for a job. But Cambridge is a really great place, and obviously you've got London just a stone throw away. So although a big move, it was a happy move, I would say.
Amazing, wonderful. And is this something that you always wanted to do?
No, so like many graduates, I found myself in the situation of having graduated or, coming towards the end of their degree, and suddenly you're faced with a big, wide world of work. And it's I thought it was relatively daunting in the respect that there are so many options. Diversity and options are wonderful, but to decide where one would go is, yeah, it obviously it's just a big decision. So I realized when completing my master's degree that, my master's project, that being working in labs wasn't for me. I really enjoyed my time there and I thought it was really fascinating, but I couldn't see myself there long term. So I then gained some legal experience as well, but as part of the legal experience that I had, working as a paralegal in an entirely different type of work, it was within family law, I realized that I did miss the science. And so I knew that I didn't want to work in a lab, but I still wanted a job that heavily involved science. Ideally, I'd like to be at the forefront of science, looking at the potential options that were there. Patent law and IP generally really perked my interest. But it wasn't, to sort of go back to your question, it wasn't until after I graduated and I'd sort of explored and researched some different career options that I found patent law. And the more I read about it, the more I thought, I think I could really do this and I think I'd really enjoy it. And so I fell down the rabbit hole, I guess, and here we are.
Amazing. And did you have any other kind of support available? So you said that you did a lot of research and reading. Did you have anybody there that was kind of guiding you, giving you any advice?
No, so it was mainly self-taught, sort of self-led. There are some great resources out there, mainly by those by SEPA, which is one of the regulatory boards. They do a good careers brochure, which is what I sort of, once I found that was really great. But also a lot of the firms have, dedicated career sections, and because it's a graduate scheme, they provide some resources there about whether it is for you, questions to sort of ask yourself if you are considering joining the profession. So those were sort of the two resources that I used.
Awesome. So you're obviously quite early in this part of your career, but have you faced any challenges along the way?
Yeah, so most people who join the profession will tell you it's a very steep learning curve because very few people have experience in any IP, in any sort of realm of IP and then patents as well, where the way that to become a patent attorney works is obviously you are science educated, and then a firm sort of it's almost sort of like an apprenticeship sort of system, in terms of you are taken as a scientist and they train you to become the attorney at the end. But it means that there is obviously a change between academia and science compared to commercial world, which I guess that's probably true for most life science business business jobs, I guess. So I guess one of the greatest challenges was sort of maybe being sort of biggest challenge would be, I think, getting really into the depths of patent law, because it's it's a complex field of law, whilst also there's commercial aspects. Well, it is a commercial tool, so there's that to learn about as well. So I think it's complex, it's challenging rather, just because of the sheer new world that you've entered in. There's so much knowledge and expertise within that, but until you're in the job, I guess, you don't really have access to that, or you only sort of see the tip of the iceberg. You see the tip of the iceberg whilst researching, and then once you're in the profession, you realize there's a whole iceberg underneath that. So that's why I'd say is challenging, but with the right support, it's manageable. Being challenged is a good thing. So although it's a challenge, it doesn't have to, that's not said with negative connotations.
Amazing. What are your favorite things about the role? What is it kind of like being a day-to-day patent attorney? What things do you enjoy doing?
So one of the great things, I think, is that you can employ your knowledge from a number of disciplines of science. So I studied M-Bio, which is Integrated Masters of Biology, but specialized within the biomedical route. But even within biomedical sciences, there's such a diverse range of disciplines, and you can touch upon pharmacology and chemistry, and on the day-to-day, one application you might be dealing in agritech, so plants, crops, but then the next hour, say after lunch, you might be working on a pharmacotherapeutic application to do with oncology. So it's really diverse. So day to day, you get to pick up all the interesting disciplines of science that you may have studied at one point, but they then come back to the forefront. So that's really interesting, I think.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Fab. And what are the kind of next steps now in your career? What happens after, what's that next step after being a trainee patent attorney?
So I will hopefully be a trainee patent attorney for a number of years. So the training program, I guess, it will take approximately 4 to 6 years. But at the end of that, a patent attorney in the UK should be both UK and European qualified. So at the end, there's dual qualification, which is partly why it takes so long. So for the next number of years, at least, I will be looking at being a trainee patent attorney. But along that route, there are a number of different examinations. So this coming October, I intend to sit my UK foundation exams. So that's one step towards becoming UK qualified. Then you look at the finals of the UK, then you turn your attention to the European qualifying exams. So the traineeship is longer than most, but obviously at the end, as I said, you are dual qualified. So the next steps for me will be working towards and sitting and hopefully passing the examinations to become a qualified patent attorney.
I have one final question, and that is, what kind of advice would you give to somebody that's maybe coming out of university, having done a scientific degree and considering a similar career path? What kind of advice would you give them?
So I would suggest something that I didn't actually do, which is, if possible, reach out to an IP firm, see it, email some, people's emails are now everywhere, LinkedIn, things like that. Speak to someone and see if they can offer any work experience, shadowing, to gain some experience, because it is a long traineeship, as I mentioned. And so I think it's important, and it's really high, and it's highly competitive. So I think you need to be very committed to becoming to the profession to be able to obviously secure a job, because it's so competitive. And a way to do that would be, I think, to reach out, see if you can gain any work experience. And if you decide you don't want to do it, well, then there are other options, but at least you then know before the job. I think that would be one thing. Also, trust the process. It's quite a long process, from applications to interviews to job offers, but it is worth it. So I guess hang in there when that seems intense. But yeah, if anyone maybe watching this is interested, I'm free in Cambridge to always have a coffee, if anyone does. But again, that's part of the reaching out. Go speak to someone, see if this sounds like something that you would like to do. It's obviously office based, which I love, but that's not everyone's cup of tea. It's just lots of different things. Some people may want more client facing roles, others not. This offers a mixture. So yeah, I think reach out to a firm, to someone in the profession, and see what they say.
Wonderful. I think that's some really, really great advice. And yes, anyone listening, definitely reach out to Georgia or anybody at Marks and Clerk. We're very lucky, I think, in this industry, that everyone's very kind and always very happy to help.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Georgia. And I hope that everybody that listened enjoyed this interview as much as I did. And we look forward to seeing you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jasmine.